And it's recording.
Okay. Now we're just waiting for Alicia.
Yeah.
So that
Can she get in?
I don't know. But I did some personal grooming for today, so.
And as soon as I get to America, I'm going to dye my beard, I think, gold.
Gold?
Yellow, probably, yeah. Maybe purple. I don't know. That's a recommendation of people. I got to do something that looks kind of wild. And that does make sense. The gamer influencers do tend to have something that makes them stand out. Did you see the article I posted about trying to be
I saw it. I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet.
Okay. Yeah, it's really good. That's exactly my strategy that I was going for with the different segments and the different video clips and trying to make it more of a thing. He was even doing like street interviews and stuff like that for his Twitch, which I was thinking, boy, at Gen Con or at game stores, that'd be hilarious to go to game stores and do a thing like, hey, which game is better? Did you hold up two games and why? Or do you know what the difference between these two games is? Or show like old games, really old role-playing games. Do you know what this is? That would be hilarious.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. And that's the sort of thing that we would just shoot up really fast in the ranks with stuff like that.
When we were doing our podcast, we did a live show at a convention. Or we did a panel that was a live show. Okay, she's hooking up her stuff. So we had the live show. We had the show with an audience that could ask questions and participate and all that kind of stuff. It was fun. I learned a very important lesson about microphones.
What?
Which is that it's really hard to hear people in an audience if you don't give them microphones.
What's that again?
It's really hard to hear an audience if you don't give them microphones.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you gotta have a pass around a microphone.
Yeah. What we basically ended up doing was we had to just repeat anything that somebody in the audience said.
Yeah, usually at conventions they have a roving microphone.
Yeah.
When they do those things. Like I've never, for the last 10 years, they've always had someone with a roving microphone. At least maybe 20 years. I've never been to when they have audience questions, they always have a microphone in. For us, though, what we're going to do is we're just going to read out their questions from they'll be typing their questions in. We won't be.
Yeah, and that's so much easier.
Yeah.
So did you see Alicia's whole thing with...
Yeah, I'm not really down with it too much, but I'm going to keep an open mind. But, it was kind of weird. Like on one hand, she doesn't like the which I agree with her completely. The Bell to the Odin are too high fantasy. And then some of her ideas were really high fantasy, like dwarves,
well, most people who are going to look at the Vrag are going to look at them and say, oh, dwarves.
Yeah, I mean, we took out the dwarf. We had dwarves, and we took them out.
Yeah.
The dwarf were dwarves in the early days, and we took them out like it was too D&D. And I want a kind of a more realistic. But yeah, Vrag are not really dwarves at all. They don't have beards.
Right.
You know, they're kind of gray. They're kind of they're kind of I mean, they're shorter than normal, but they're not really squat or strong. Yeah, I don't know. You think people really will say?
I always imagine them as being much more wiry.
Much
Like
more
the Vrag are what wiry? The Vrag are what I imagine for the Netherin. You know, the people who are able to just kind of wrangle their way through that small tunnels and everything.
Yeah. So the idea is to try to make them, maybe fit the niche that dwarves have, but be a different trope.
Yeah.
Rather than Scandinavian, beer swilling, loving, like more. And they have these weird things that they eat the weird food. They're really quite interesting. So I don't know. I mean, we spent that was kind of the creating the birthrights was kind of like the beginning of Lost Learn company, right? Of figuring out the world as collaboratively, because before that was just me doing stuff.
Right.
And that was sort of the big moment. And so we put a lot of time. We redid them a bunch of times. So yeah, I know Jason and Seth would, if they knew we were talking about redoing it, they would be pretty upset. They'd be freaked out for sure. But hey, I'm always open. What did you think?
I think that there's some points on the whole, but I don't necessarily agree with all the details that she said. My main thing I was thinking about for the birthrights is that I'd like to do something with more numbers of people in the world, so that we can kind of put almost on a graph. Because I don't know if this is true or not, but in my imagination, the way it works in Lost Lorn is people come over as humans, and over the generations, the uncanny influence of the world turns them into something that is more a part of the world. And so the longer a birthright has been here, the less human it seems. So the maybe the Titans were actually the first ones here, and they've all become fully part of Lost Lorn now, and the Horned Ones are on their way there. And then
my idea is the Titans have all become Tro or something, or
that you eventually become part of Lorn.
Or maybe they're the, like, one idea is that they're all the Star Chords, that they all made up the tree eventually, and they were so big that they literally are the Star Chords. So each Star Chord is actually a giant god. So people live on the bodies, the transmuted bodies of the Titans, who are now the primordial gods.
Yeah. But like, my imagination of things is if you had a time machine on Lorn and you were jumping ahead 1,000 years at a time, that from where we base the game, if you jumped ahead 1,000 years, there wouldn't be Horned folk anymore. They'd all be Trow. And the oldest birthright on Lorn would be the Basaju. And then what we currently know as Pureborn would have evolved into something different. And there'd be a new version of Pureborn. And basically every couple hundred years or every 1,000 or however many years. So there's always 7 major birthrights. And just as you go through time, what those 7 are might change, because they gradually become permanent parts of Lorn rather than just...
Yeah, I like your idea of the process. I'm not sure, maybe there's always 7. I don't know if that quite makes sense.
I wouldn't call it a written law, because originally there weren't. Originally there had to just be 1. It's more of that there's never more than 7.
Yeah.
And then if 1,000 years pass without anybody coming from Earth, then what they call the Pureborn would no longer appear to be Pureborn.
Yeah,
it would be something else.
Yeah, they will definitely become something else.
But they probably still call themselves Pureborn.
Yeah, they probably would, wouldn't they? Or maybe it would mutate into something else. One thing about the other video I posted, he was just talking about Middle Earth and why it's such a seminal thing. And I didn't realize that like Gondor was basically Rome, and Rohan was the Celts, and that Mordor is basically the very much the barbarians.
Yep.
And that even though today we criticize him for making the orcs kind of the bad guys, that was better than him having bad guys, whoever they slaughtered, who were bad, who would be like black skinned or something like that. Like he actually thought about that, and he made them like an invented magical race that they don't even come from anywhere.
Right.
Like
they're
back in the
correct
30s when he was inventing this. Right, he invented it so that they're a magical race, so that you can't say that they're correlated to anything else, because they were basically made, you know. And so I was thinking that we have to be very careful our own way as well, right? Like they're if we have the one, and then so that's why our Tempest, we can have all these crazy beasts coming out of the Tempest, and they can be the evil ones. We got to figure out though how to make them sentient, right? So like I was thinking that because the Skurgan are not sentient, but how do we make a creature to come out? I guess maybe some Skurgan could be sentient, but they're tortured, and they want to be freed. So so it's basically they're like zombies who are begging you to kill them. Like they're fighting you ferociously because that's what they do, and they have these powerful needs, but the whole time there's a voice going, "Please kill me now, strike my leg, get my leg out." Wouldn't that be creepy? Like a monster that's really ferocious trying to kill you, but the whole time it's begging you to kill them.
Yes,
it's weird.
That would definitely be creepy.
Alicia's here. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, Alicia, I didn't see you.
No, that's all right. I just got it working, so I'm trying to.
Oh, that screen looks good.
Yeah, I have to put that up because my background's all over the place, so that's why
I put up a fake background.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
You can slide you need a green screen to make it look right, actually. If you slid your screen over a little bit more, it would be perfect, Alicia. It just needs to go over 2 inches. Look on your screen. You can see how they're. There you go.
It's gonna fall on me.
But if you go to settings, so at the bottom of your screen, there's mute, stop cam, settings, present, and leave studio. If you click on settings, one of the options is virtual background.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
So here's what I look like normally.
Okay.
And here's me in my fancy apartment.
Oh yeah, right. Oh yeah, fancy. Ooh, I'm wealthy.
Yep. Here's me in Badlander.
Nice. Okay, so then you can like upload something. Nice.
So we'll be using this for gaming tomorrow, and we'll be broadcasting.
Okay.
And I figured out a bunch of stuff, how to do stuff. So, and now let's begin the show. And welcome to Tailspinner. My name is Mark Ronhagen, and I'm with my co-host, Joe and Alicia. Should I do your full names or not? I'm not sure, because your names should be down there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, how do you guys want me to do it? Should it be your full names? Probably, right?
I'm fine with just Alicia for now. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I would
probably should do full names.
Oh yeah.
Then write your full names in your thing, please, so that I will not. because I will forget. I can forget things. I've told you about times I forgot my parents' name, right?
No.
I was in Australia.
Alicia, do you see how to do that?
Let's see.
Bottom left-hand corner, the
Yeah.
image of you, 3 dots. Click on that.
Okay.
Edit name and headline.
Edit name. Got it.
And I think you should come up with a headline as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you could just do this one. Unstoppable force of weird. That would be unique.
But unstoppable.
No, that's mine.
But oh, it's supposed to be.
I'm an unstoppable force of weird. Me, I am.
Okay, me. That's me. You can't do it too.
Do something about witches because you're from Salem. You like witchcraft.
I don't know if I want people to know.
Oh, okay. What about you do it ephemerally, like the enchantress of.
I don't want anything too feminine. That's just not me.
For you.
Let's see.
Yeah, I just randomly came up with the unstoppable force of weird.
Ring of Darkness. Oh yeah.
I love the dark stuff. Whatever. It's fine. I'll come up with something better.
No, that's perfect.
Queen of the Dark.
I don't want.
Actually, Queen of Darkness may be better.
I don't want queen or. I don't like words like that. For me, it's just.
Oh, okay. I see.
I grew up a tomboy, and I'm just not into the girly girl.
Oh, you're not into the female.
No, I don't like. That's why I loved Prince, being used for both male and female in Vampire the Masquerade. Prince was.
Okay.
Because it was.
I was
good
like
neutral.
that too. Yeah,
I loved it. Lord. I want to be a lord. I don't want to be lady. I want to be lord. Like. Master.
I actually had a lot of pushback on that. I continued for a long time.
Yeah.
People were like, they were actually thinking of changing that for the new edition, 5th edition.
Prince?
Yeah, because they said it was sexist. I was like,
wait,
I don't
what?
think so.
No, it's distinctly not sexist.
It was the opposite because you used it for both.
No, because it's forcing women to have a male title.
I do not see it that way.
I don't see it either, but that was actually a big discussion. I was called, actually during the discussion, I was called a dinosaur for disagreeing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What kind
I think
of
it works
dinosaur?
really well as a gender neutral term, also because it's a reference to Machiavelli.
Yeah.
The prince
Absolutely it
is about governing. It wasn't a gender specific term. It was for anyone who is governing, i.e. a prince.
Yeah, I see it as it's a position of power, and that is the title. And why changing the title for a woman kind of is more sexist than a woman just taking the appropriate title.
Absolutely.
So I see it as a woman taking on that title and that mantle and being respected for it and in that position is so much more important than being like, oh no, we'll change it for her. We'll change it for you because you're not the right gender or you're not the right, you know what I mean? That's the right sex. You're not. It's like just the same fucking title. Sorry.
But you see how easily we drop into political discussion.
Yeah. And there it is.
I mean, this is actually part of the problem is that it's very, very easy to drop into it. And,
there's a certain amount of politics that's always going to come into game design because these are the kinds of decisions you have to consider.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
We have to talk about it a little bit, but we have to figure out how to talk about it. So, not being too, we should never go, that's crazy, that's over the top, they're stupid. We should always go, well, some people feel this way.
Yeah.
And that belief is based on this. Other people disagree. And what you're trying to do with the game design is you're trying to make it appeal to all groups. Because if you only appeal to one group, you've limited your growth. You've limited your reach. And personally speaking, one of the things I loved about role playing back in the day is that in my gaming group, inevitably I'd have someone who was, going to protest with me, and then have another person, who was like super conservative and loved guns and loved playing, and inevitably that person either be a lawful good or chaotic evil character, right? And we had a weird balance of people, and it actually created this, like in storytelling, you want characters who are really different from each other. That creates a good group, right? Like in Lord of the Rings, you have really different characters with very different points of view, and that makes a good travel group. Whereas if everyone agrees the same, which is in history how people traveled, right? It was all the same tribe. They were very similar, right? But that's not an interesting story, is it?
One of the other great things about gaming and politics is it gives you a chance to inhabit those other stances, because you can play somebody who's a gun nut. Like, you can be super left-wing, ultra-liberal in real life and then play a fanatical right-wing Christian vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always cool.
Well, that's the great thing. Yeah, that is the great thing about role-play games, is playing what you're not playing what you are.
It helps you understand things because you get to see what the other options are.
And it does. It definitely does. Playing from another perspective. Like, I've always loved that challenge of being like, okay, well, I'm going to play something I'm completely not, but how would this character think about this? And then you start to understand the thought process, where they're coming from. And it gives you a new perspective when you're actually like role playing through. We did roles like that when I, in my courses, I had like a human, which I don't know. It was like a human social kind of class when I was in college, and we did our teacher had us all in a circle doing role play, and she had half of us be on one side of something and half of us be on the other, and she gave me a role that I just completely would not have chosen for myself. But she said, I want you to argue your case. This is what you stand for. And it's the same kind of thing. And in role play, it's kind of like you're taking on that perspective, and you kind of put yourself in that mindset, and you're just like, well, it's just for funsies, it's my character, but for a little while you get to see a new world and from a new way, and I think it's amazing.
It's also one of the basic principles of logic and rhetoric and debate is the ability to argue both sides.
And see both sides.
If you
can't see the person's side, then you're missing out on the whole point of having a reasonable debate.
Yeah. A comedian, I don't remember who, talked about his father, who was a rhetoric teacher, and that his father would say to him, anything that you believe in, if you can't argue the other side within 5 minutes, you don't deserve to believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I brought that idea to one of my classes once, which I had so much fun with. So it's a freshman composition class, and this was in Crookston, Minnesota, so a very red area. And I suggested this to Crookston? Yeah, Crookston.
Oh, that's where my dad's from.
Okay, so you know it. Tiny town. Anyway, so I said, do you guys agree? You've had within 5 minutes, if you can't argue the other side. And they went, yeah, we agree. And it's like, okay, great. How many of you believe in God? And then I made the entire class argue that God didn't exist for 5 minutes.
Mm.
And it was amazing because these kids were looking at me as if I somehow had the authority to say to them, if you can't give a good argument for why God doesn't exist, you don't deserve to believe in God anymore. And you have to become an atheist. And they looked at me as if I could actually do that.
You did.
The purpose of it
high school students, you could be fired for that. But since we're college students, I think you're okay.
Well, I brought it back at the end because I said, that the point of this isn't to make you question the belief. Because after we went and showed all these reasons why God didn't exist, we then went through and disproved all of them. Because the whole idea of God, you can't prove God does exist, you can't prove God doesn't exist. So whichever side you argue, it's easy to disprove.
Mhm.
And so I told him that the point of this was just to see that, looking at both sides. And if anything, what this should do is give you more faith, because now you've actually thought about it and reasoned out why you believe in God.
So it's 25 minutes in, and I'm going to give this to my son as a time.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and make characters and go through it. And we can, you can basically, we'll have the characters. You'll draw them up and send me a version of them. You can just do it right on a copy of the actual character sheet if you want. But let's just go through and have you do it. So I'm going to go through the pages, and then
do we have?
And he can clip it together.
Do we have a current version of the character sheet that is editable?
Yeah.
A current one?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not a PDF.
Like when you can fill out.
Filling it out, you would have to find a way to do the dots. I mean, I can figure it out, but maybe you can. But probably your best bet is just to do it by paper. Do you guys have printers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I do.
I mean, just try to make your handwriting legible, that's all. But there shouldn't be a whole lot of handwriting.
My printer is on another floor, though. I'd have to go, like, that's the thing.
Oh, don't worry about it now. Just
Yeah.
talk about it as if you're doing it, and then we'll cut to that later, you know?
Okay.
Just keep some notes, okay? All right, Sandra, we're going to start now, and you can just put this together any way you want to. Hi, this is Mark Reinhagen, and welcome to the Tail Spinner podcast. Today, we're going to show you how to make a character in FangKnight, which is our new game, which is now in playtesting. And if you want to playtest, go to lostlorngames.com and sign up. And we're going to send you the game is done, actually, but we can't see the whole game because then, well, we have nothing to sell. We're going to send you part of the game. All right. And so anyway, you'll see on screen the first page. Well, actually, here's the first page of the character chapter. So here's the character chapter. And it begins. All of our chapters begin with these paintings, and then we have a sort of a page on sort of how to play a character, and then we have a page that explains what the character sheet looks like. At the back of the book, you have a page you can copy. You can see we have a sideways sheet, and instead of numbers, we have diamonds. And the reason we do diamonds is that, well, you know, as gamers, most of us are not math phobic. In fact, we kind of like math. As a game designer, I love math. But a lot of people are math phobic. And also, having dots that you fill out, or diamonds in this case, it just means that you can sort of just look at the sheet, you instantly have a visual idea of what someone's good at. So if you see a whole bunch of black under mayhem, you know that character is probably pretty violent. And if you see a whole lot of dots filled in under, let's say, social, you have an idea of who that character is. Okay? All right. So we have Joe Weinberg and Alicia Lee, and they're my co-hosts for the Tail Spinner podcast. And thanks, guys, for helping out. And we're going to make some characters. So what do you start out? Let's go to the next page, create a Fang. And you can see, everyone, this is a pretty simple page. You basically start out with bloodline. So you pick your bloodline. This is sort of like your clan, if you know vampire. This is your lineage. The vampire who made you, your progenitor, is of the same as you, and so you have their blood, and that is traced back all the way to Skarl. The great demon of Lorne, who sits in the abysma right under your feet at the center, at the bottom of the world. All right, Alicia, what bloodline are you thinking of?
I'm considering the Bashabazook or the Vaudelin.
Ooh, I like Vaudelin. They're my favorite. Basbazook are awesome too. Weird. They're so weird. They're the ones who do the nameless, the zombies. So yeah, they're very creepy. How about you, Joe?
Currently, I'm going with random chance, and I'm looking at either the Perfugos or the Zaluria.
Okay. Yeah, we were thinking putting numbers on here and letting people roll, but of course it's just someone can just do it themselves, right? All right. So since you're picking, Alicia, which one are you picking?
So I think I'm gonna go with the Bashbazook.
Okay. How did I
And then
know?
I will go with Profugo.
Bring off darkness. It must be. So yes.
And Joe, which are you? Sorry.
I'm going to go with Perfugos.
Perfugos. Okay.
Oh.
All
Because I
right.
think
We have
then
two
we'll go
very
together
dark
well.
characters. Very creepy. All right. Number 2 is your calling. This is something that if you're role playing the whole chrysalis and being in the webs and becoming a fang together as a malice of fangs, you wouldn't necessarily know your calling right away, but you still create a character with it because that's what you can become. Your calling is like what your training and your sort of your job in the Amarantha, which is the order of fangs, which you belong to, which live in these fire holds and sort of hold back the forces of hell. All right, Alicia, once again, what are you thinking of?
So, okay. So there are 2 ways I'm thinking of going with this. Either the wilds and being the ultimate sort of controller of creatures, or the thaumaturge and being the mad scientist.
Ooh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, because I'm already going to be the zombie master, essentially. So I can either also add monster into that by being in a wilds, or if I go the thaumaturge route, I can be the experimenter, and that can
Yeah.
be kind of dark too. So
And
that's
this
what
is
I'm.
a medieval world with a little renaissance. So we don't really have steampunk,
Mhm.
except maybe very deep down. But we do have gear punk. So thaumaturge are kind of a gear punk-esque thing. Well, how about you, Joe?
I'm thinking about going with Injustic and being
Ooh.
the religious inquisitor
Ooh.
type,
Wow.
making sure
Okay.
that everybody is following the rules properly.
That's pretty dark. Okay, so we have Injustic and Alicia. What are you?
I think I'm going to go with the thaumaturge. I'm going to try something. I think
Okay.
I like the sort of experimental mad scientist concept. Yeah.
Okay, great. And then basically your sub calling was called your chain. And we do that. We continue the character creation throughout the game. So you do that at rank 3 later on. So we stretch it out so that you can make a character. Once you know the system, I've made a character in literally 3 minutes. So it's very, very fast. But that's because a lot of the details that are stretched out over the as you grow your characters. You're growing into your character. And on rank 2, you get your fetter for your bloodline. All right, origin, which is basically your who you were before you became a vampire. And a lot of these are based on what the different estates. And there are 10 estates on the surface world, which go from the highest of royals down to Vileborn, which is the lowest. But royals aren't allowed to become vampires, so that's not on there. And instead, we have a Bismuth at the bottom, which are humans. You're a human who grew up in the abysma below the firehold, so you are literally lived your entire life underground until now, which is kind of creepy. This is not a huge importance because you forget who you are actually when you become a vampire. It's the first few ranks you barely remember, but you do grow into it. And that's why at rank 4, you get to pick your background, which is sort of when you get your full memories back. Alicia, what are you thinking of?
I'm actually thinking that if she's going to be a mad scientist type, I feel like that's going to come from a background of education. And maybe she was a scholar of some sort. So I think I might go with Freeborn because it's city based. And
or even
there's
Burger.
I could go with Burger.
That would give you enough money to have access to anything, right?
Oh,
Whereas
that's true.
Freeborn can be urban poor, right?
Yeah, they can. Yes. Although I like the idea of Freeborn. Just kind of like a struggling education or something, and then wanted to go another way.
That's cool. Yeah. So you got your education, you proved to be good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you became a scholar. Yeah. Kind of like Stalin.
Oh, yeah.
I'm making a bad joke. Sorry.
Great.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry to compare your character to a mass murderer, but hey, you are Boss Bazoo, so we'll find out.
The zombies come from somewhere.
Yeah. All right,
That's
Joe,
true.
where are
Mom
you?
said, "Go make friends." That's not what she meant. Okay, so I was thinking initially, I thought, "Oh, I'll just be anointed because I'll go with the whole religious thing." But then, because they forget everything, I think I'm actually going to go with outlaw and have it be that the character was very much not a good person and was an outlaw and committed all these crimes and was sent to the fire hold. And rather than
for your crimes, oh.
And then worked his way up so that when it comes out and when he remembers that he used to be a criminal,
he'll be horrified.
He'll have that little crisis of conscience. Yeah.
Okay. Oops. All right. Change the page. Okay. Very cool. Wow. I'm digging it. I definitely can already, through those three choices, I get an idea of your character, and hopefully you have an idea of the world as well. Like as you make these decisions, the world sort of comes into focus a little bit. At least the vampire world, maybe not the outside world, but a little bit of the outside world. Yeah. Like the 10 different estates is kind of like the idea of the caste system in India, or the idea in Europe that there's those who work, there's those who pray, and there are those who rule. Right? It's just that's sort of expanded out, that idea of the three classes, and that was actually called the three estates of medieval Europe. Anyway, sorry to lecture, but that's kind of what I tend to do sometimes.
History lesson brought to you by Mark.
Please, in the comments, let us know if you like me throwing in those historical stuff, or if you find it annoying and pedantic. Or if you find me using words like pedantic to be annoying.
Pedantic, yeah.
Yeah, I love the words. I assume most gamers know them, but they specifically tell you not to do that. So anyway, step 4, abilities. So abilities are your main traits that are on the top of the character sheet. So let's go back up real quick. You can see right there. It's strength, dexterity, vigor, intellect, wits, charisma, and uncanny. And so you have 7, and you can see they're kind of like, that famous D20 game that we shall not mention. But it's different. By the way, this game is not OGL or anything. We're going to have our own open system. We're thinking of not protecting it at all. So that anyone can just use it and do what they want to it, not having a license, just sort of making it open source intrinsically. Yeah. Legally, we're not sure how that works. So once we make enough money to have a lawyer, we're going to figure it out. Until then, it's trademarked by us. Anyway, so what do you guys, you get basically 2 abilities at 3 diamonds each, 2 more at 2 diamonds, and 2 at 1.
Well, I think the first thing to decide is the fatal flaw.
Yeah.
Oh, the fatal flaw. That's right. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, you got to cross one off. It'll be 0 forever. So one of these 7 will be your fatal flaw and never goes above 0. And forever it can't go up. The other ones can not only go up to 5. If you draw a line through the 5 diamonds, you actually means you have a 6. So you can actually go from 0 to 6 in each, which then you'd be adding that to a D20 roll. You add that plus a skill down below. You add those 2 amount of diamonds, and then you roll a D20. And if you beat the difficulty, the scene difficulty, you make your roll. That's the game. It's as simple as that. There's a scene difficulty. Over the scene, you have what I use is a giant D20. And as you go through the scene, it can go up or down depending on how things are going. And you just got to beat that number. So what you're good at, and having both of the characters or all your characters in your malice sort of balance out is very, very important, right? You don't want everyone to be the same.
And a malice is a group, your party. It's our word for that.
Yeah.
Your player group, your character group, actually.
A
We are
murder
going to
of
be allies
crows.
working together.
Yeah, so you have a murder of crows and you have a malice of fangs.
Yes.
All right, so you guys go ahead and put that down, and we're going to show you their character sheets. We'll flash them up now, and we'll show them at the end as well. And then let's do passions. Passions are basically your emotions of your characters. The idea behind that, when we designed it, is that role-playing is a wonderful hobby. People role-play sometimes incredibly beautifully, but one limitation of gaming compared to other art forms is that strong emotion is sometimes missing from our role-playing, right? Because it can feel very weird to do strong emotion in front of your friends and act it out. It can feel melodramatic. So the passions are meant to be a way to bring emotions into the game and make it feel less weird and make it an intrinsic part of the game. So first we're going to pick your crux pair, which is basically what two emotions are you going back and forth on. So if you go up here, I'll show you. You have so that means one pair is basically could be honor, oathless, duty, reckless, courage, gutless, dignity, shameless, courtesy, graceless, love, heartless, or truth, belief, faith, and faithlessness. So you're going to circle one pair, and then you're going to circle 3 words on the top and then 3 words on the bottom. So you have 3 virtues and you have 3 vials. So what's your crux pair, Alicia?
I'm thinking of going maybe with honor and oathless. I don't know if I'm married to that idea, because dignity and shameless could be very interesting too. How
I
shameless?
was actually also going to go honor oathless.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think I'm a little more drawn to dignity and shameless. So that might be my crux pair. Who needs dignity? No, I don't know.
Well, having both means you're torn between the two, and you have both.
Right. Because dignity can be important, but then, yeah. So I think that's going to be my crux pair. I think I'm going to go with that. Yeah.
All right, Joe, and you're honor oathless, right?
Honor oathless. Yep.
And why are you picking that? Because of the whole inquisitor and outlaw thing, right?
Yeah. So the outwardly honorable, but realistically, I'm going to do and lie however I need to make things happen the way I think they should.
All right. So now we do skills. And just like we did with abilities, you have 2 that are failings. You got to cross them. You got to cross 2 off. You can never learn those skills. So it's sort of like a fatal flaw, but they're called failings because it's a skill, and you got to cross off 2 skills. And they'll always be one. Kind of like for me, handwriting. I'll never have handwriting above 0. I guess it is above 0 because I can actually do it. Just no one else can read it. What would be my failing of a skill? I need to think about that. I'm sure my kids could tell me.
Usually it's the other people who can see something in you that you can't see.
Yeah, right now I can't possibly think of a thing.
Oh, you fail at nothing?
Well, I know I have them. I just don't know what they are right now.
Mayhem are skills too.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a pacifist, so I guess I have brawl because I do wrestle because that you can stop someone from hurting someone else by wrestling them. But I don't actually punch people.
I'm pretty sure that 2-hand would definitely be one of mine because that requires a lot of strength, and I just don't think that's ever going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Same here, because I picked strength as my fatal flaw. So I'm definitely not going to do a 2-handed.
Yeah.
I guess I'll say exotic would be one of my failings in real life. Nunchucks. I can't imagine being able to do nunchucks ever.
Oh, well, that's definitely.
Or darts or shuriken or poison.
But isn't like bullwhip under there?
I could never do a bullwhip.
No.
I used to own a bullwhip. I was never able to get it really to snap very well.
I used to have a
barely
cheap
get
one. Yeah. I
I
loved
had a
playing
cheap-
with that.
Yeah, it was fun
It ended
playing
up
with
being
it.
a cat toy.
I was just never any good at it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got skills, and you have, and then you can see there's ways to do it. So you pick 3 at 3, 6 at 2, you get 9 different ones at 1. So you get quite a few skills. You have a nice spectrum, but once again, you begin you're not very good at anything, and as you go up in rank, these all go up, right? And so by the time you're a master, you're a Fang Lord of like 5th rank or something, you're gonna have quite a few traits that are 6s. Maybe not a lot, but a few, and that will make you roughly twice as powerful as you are in the beginning. Okay, arcanics are like your powers, your disciplines. And let me go down and show an example of arcanics. So we have here under pick arcanics. Here's what we say for bloodlines. You have one for your bloodline and one for your calling you can pick. Or you can pick one of these two at the bottom of the page. So you need to pick the bloodline arcanics, which is named after your bloodline, or your calling arcanics, or you can choose your origin arcanics, which relates to which origin you picked. Or you could pick the general one that any FangKnight can take, which is Fang Verge. So you have 4 of them you can pick from, and then later on, when you get your sub bloodline and your sub calling, your chain and your fetter, and your origin, then basically you get your background. You can get new ones. So and then arcanics, as you can see, go 1 to 5, but each time you go up a level, you get a new power. So what do you guys think of taking for arcanics, Alicia?
Well, I'm kind of want to probably consider the Bashabazook main arcanics too, because I know I definitely want to be. I want those zombies. So I might end up going with my bloodline arcanics.
She's not with you?
What?
No, Vivian's not with you? Okay, I'll be right back, guys.
Okay. So we can discuss arcanics.
Yes. I'm thinking of doing 2 levels of Profugos and 1 level of Injustic.
Yeah.
Though I'm also debating just putting all 3 into Profugos.
Yeah. Boy, because then there's the calling too.
Yeah.
And
then there's the
so-
fetters within. But I mean, those we don't have to worry about for a little while because.
yeah. I might, I don't know. Boy, when it comes to these nifty powers, it's a really difficult decision because I do like the idea of having one in my origin, and still having a connection to those scholars, those freeborn people. That might be having a little bit of influence might help, but I'm not sure if I'm there yet. So I can always take it later when
That's
I rank
my
up.
thought with the origin arcanics is that
Yeah.
for the most part, just starting out, you don't have much knowledge of what your origin is. So it's not necessarily going to come up all that often.
Mhm.
So I'd rather put the power somewhere where it's going to help me quickly.
Yes. Yeah, so I think that's what I'm considering is I think the origin's best left for later. I think that's for those whose amnesia is cleared a little bit earlier in the game, or they've retained a connection in the story. But
It could also be fun to play a character who you put a lot of the points in things that they're not necessarily going to use right away. And so then when they get their memory back, they suddenly get much more powerful.
Yeah, I think it's a little boost there.
Yeah. So it could be an investment type thing.
Yeah. I think, of course, we'll have to, I think, show people what our Bloodline and Calling Arcanics look like. I have to bring those up on the screen as well.
Yeah.
To compare with these two. Fangverge is definitely handy. It gives you some extra stuff you can do that are a little bit of healing, a little armor boost, all very practical things that I think that the average vampire would definitely want to have.
You get to cut this out anyway, Sandra, so I can do this.
Yeah.
So here's Sandro.
Hi.
Hey!
So basically, they're making characters. We're going through it. I have the sheet up, and then you could take this and cut away to other stuff.
Yeah.
Art and everything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if are these too small, maybe?
I think they're pretty nice for this.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that's to be those mics.
As long as they see something they're moving, talking, it's okay, right?
I don't know exactly where I can put the images in, but I'll figure it out.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
See ya.
Thanks, man.
The video master. Oh yeah.
I mean, he's getting good, man. He's the
Nice.
tech stuff. I mean, he built his own computer when he was 10.
Yeah, nice.
And now he's just, it's just crazy. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so, and Sandra, I'm back now. And I'm sure there's some stuff that they maybe did that you could use. But since I won't be in the frame, you figure it out. You know what to do. So yeah, what did you guys decide on Arcanics, Alicia?
So I'm considering going with I want to be more true to my bloodline, I think. So I think I'm gonna put I might put a dot or two in that. I definitely want a dot in Thaumaturge. But I'm also considering doing one each of those and one in Fangverge, because Fangverge seems very, very practical.
In the beginning, it's very useful, isn't it?
Yeah. So having that little extra armor and being able to kind of, roll a little extra damage or something. But it would give me armor at first. So I don't know. But man, the zombies are calling. So I'm probably going to go with Bloodline. A couple dots of Bloodline and one in Thaumaturge. So.
And I'm going to go with 2 levels of Perfugos and 1 level of Ingestic.
Cool. All right.
It's going to make me pretty much useless in combat, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well, you got knaves for that.
Yeah.
So okay, and then finally we have gear. So pick an arms kit, pack, and pouch. And so let me go to that page to show how that works. Here's the start kit. So basically, instead of having to pick what you have, you just pick down below. You can see there's a pack. So you pick either a Trekker pack, a Pilgrim pack, a Sly pack, a Merchant pack, and then there's pouches, a Survival pouch, a Gleamer pouch, a Rogue pouch, and it has just all the stuff in it. Makes it really easy. And then up above, you'll see you get to pick an arms kit. So you can have a Scout, Rover, Archer, Gunner, what have you. By the way, it is a medieval world, but there are guns, but they just don't tend to work in the Sacra Dwemer, which is where the church has a strong presence and their aura spreads through. A Dwemer is kind of the aura of something. There's 7 different Dwemer, and Sacra is one of them. So, like in the lowlands where the church is strong, guns don't work. When you get further out, they just start working. So, Alicia, which arms pack are you taking?
I'm looking at, because I also don't have much strength. So
oh boy.
So I'm looking at probably Scout, some good leather armor. Who doesn't love some leather armor?
Yeah.
And a rapier, nice fancy rapier. I like that.
Oh wow!
That idea.
A lot of these do have armor that requires strength, doesn't it? Yikes!
Yeah, 2 of them. It's Archer and Scout are the ones that don't.
Wow.
So,
that's it. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So, having chosen to have strength in my fatal flaw, I'm probably stuck with one of those 2.
Yeah.
Sounds like
actually. Actually, an archer. Now I'm reconsidering. Archer has a bone bow. And
Oh, that could fit
Yeah.
with the Bosch Bazook.
Cool.
oh, that goes with my themes. Zombies and bone bows. Oh, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the archer.
A bone bow is basically a laminated bow the Mongols had. You just take strips of bone, you glue them together, and it creates a very powerful compound bow, which is pretty marvelous. They're compact but very powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then what about a pack, Alicia? Any ideas on the pack?
Let's see. A pack, possibly. I'm thinking as a thaumaturge, I might want something like either. Oh well, the pilgrim could be very me, but holy symbols, sage. I might go with sage.
Cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Joe? Any idea for a pack? It's not a huge decision, but it's fun.
I think for pack, I'm probably going to go with merchant.
Okay.
I like
you
having
gotta have
that.
those of you. All right. And what about pouch, Alicia?
Pouch is where it starts to sound interesting. I think I'm gonna go with a gleamer
Ooh.
for harvesting parts.
All right.
It did materials that I'll need in the lab. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Collect that ortho.
Yeah.
And Joe, what about you for pouch?
I'm going to go with healer, though I don't intend to be using it in a positive healing way. I'm thinking of all the different ways that somebody who was trying to get people to confess could use a needle and thread, a hand drill, incision knife, hook, chisel, wax.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, you're the anti-healer. Yeah, fair enough. And then finally, we have blazons. Blazons are at the bottom of the character sheet, and they're kind of like your go-to rolls for common things. You roll alert, of course, often for all three of them can be used for your initiative in different scenes. Poise is obviously used in social scenes for your initiative. Alert is often used in combat, and speed is used in more physical action scenes. But all of them get to be used in different ways. And strength is used so much to see what armor and weapons you can use. But that means the other 6 stats all come in here on blazons. So that makes every one of your abilities super important. And, so basically, you guys should do okay because both of you took strength as your weak one.
Yeah. There are
All
other
right.
ways.
Yeah. So the rest of character creation, we have a traits page, which just explains the traits. We don't need a chapter for that because everyone kind of knows what these words mean. And we just need, a few words to explain each one. We're trying to keep it compact. Everything's on one page in this game. If it doesn't fit on one page, then it doesn't fit our rule system. Here's the different origins explained, what they mean and where they're from. And here's your start kit. We just saw that. Here's your mechanics. We also saw that. Here's how it explains how to do blazons. Here's explains the different armor types and how armor works. Armor does not work the way it does in a lot of games. It literally blocks the damage. So you can read about that when you get the thing. Here's the thing on role playing, combat advice. And then here's the vampire ranks and how you go up in ranks. You have 1 to 7 ranks in as a FangKnight, and then 1 to 7 ranks as a Fang Lord. And these are in world; they are real. It's just like in the real world. Different orders of knights had ranks. There are ranks in this as well. So, and then here's the rank benefits. Explains what all that stuff means. And then we go on down backgrounds, gear, weapons, and talents. Talents are like feats or special skills you get as you go up in rank. There's a lot to pick from. And then we go into bloodlines. And here's all the different bloodlines. And you can see here Joe's Bosch Bazook Arcanics.
Oh, that's mine. I'm the boss.
Alicia's a Bosch Bazook.
Yeah, sorry
That's
about
all
that.
me. Yeah.
Joe's Profugos. So, here's all of her pages. So anyway, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate that. And we will be back with another video soon. So please subscribe and please stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.